Hey everybody, it's Marwan Bambley here with a new live video. I thought I'm going to sketch some reflections for a car. So the idea is I sketched this one last night, and I also sketched this one right there. So I'm gonna just walk you through some basic things when it comes to sketching cars. And I mean, you can apply this to anything, I guess, but having the sky being reflected, and also having the ground being reflected like this, and how to get these cool effects here. Actually, this is if you do this, it's gonna add some depth to your surface. And obviously these are high glossy surfaces, since we have the strong reflections here. And yeah, let's do that. So first of all, get yourself a new sheet of paper. I'm using some regular standard paper. This is not marker paper. This is what I'm using. Just says sketch paper. So nothing too weird. If you want, you can use marker paper, a bit glossier surface. I guess the markers are gonna glide better on top of those. Or if you just have a whatever paper you have works for this. Alright, let me just organize some stuff on my screen before I get started. And as always, if you have any questions along the way in this live video, please feel free to ask. I'm always happy to answer your questions, as long as I have an answer for them, of course. Just give me a second. Alright, I think we're ready to go. So I'm gonna sketch a Camaro looking car. We're gonna start with just a baseline, as always. So let's start with sketching the baseline. The baseline is the bottom line of the car, or the lowest point of the car, basically. And from here we can start to add some wheels. Just really light, just to get the wheelbase. There we go. I want the rear to be a bit beefier than the front. And I'm gonna connect these. I want it to be low. And up here, let's make some, let's see how this goes. Same in the front, we want some fenders here. Really simple, just make if you want to have a reference picture, you can have that, and just go after the reference picture of how these features look on an old muscle car, or whatever it is you're sketching. And of course, as always, you gotta have your coffee, otherwise this will not work. So get your coffee ready. And it has to be black, by the way. Alright, so let's see, how does our Camaro look? I'm gonna share this video. Oh yeah, please share this video on your page, on your profile, or whatever. I just want as many people as possible to start sketching and get into design and stuff. Cool. So from here, what do we have the fender looking like on an old Camaro? Something like this. Actually, let's start by adding the end point for this car. The end points, all the way there. It has a quite long overhang at the rear. Something like this. And let's make the, let's try to get the large design features and lines down for this car. I know it has a prominent rear, something like that. As always, things does not have to be perfect at all when you're doing this. Just have to get the lines down first, and when you have the lines down, that's when you start to think or look for adjustments or whatever you need to do. I like to keep reference of I like to add mental reference points on the sketch. If I have a reference to look at, like where does the A-pillar start in relation to the front axle, where will it end in relation to the rear axle, for example, and then you just go from there. Let's see, let's end somewhere around here. Let's make this little spoiler at the back. Let's see how this looks. I want to get into the reflection part or the marker part as soon as possible, so we can spend most time on that part. Let's see, we need the front windscreen or windshield as well, so adding that right there. And there is a line going here, connects to this line, like that. And let's create the greenhouse real fast. This needs to be straighter. There's a lot of straight lines in old muscle cars. That's what I like about them. It's pretty simple designs, and they're not complicated at all. Just clean lines, clean long lines. Okay, it's starting to look like a Camaro. Just adding some details to make it look more in perspective, I guess. Checking the overhangs at the front and the rear, that they are on point. And let's see. Just work on the greenhouse a bit more. I'm gonna come back to this when I'm done with the markers anyway, so it doesn't matter right now, but it's just annoying. Adding the interior on the far side. So this is the inside of the car that I'm sketching. circles are so hard to do freehand. But since we're gonna go over everything with black in the end, it doesn't matter if they are off right now. Basically everything we're doing right now is just for reference points. We're gonna add some or everything is going to get adjusted most likely. Alright, so I think we have a base of a Camaro completed, or the silhouette of the Camaro. No questions yet? Alright, cool. If you have any, just let me know and just type it on the video. Filling in the baseline. Now I'm just doing stuff that I really don't need to do, but things that just make it look cleaner. It doesn't matter because we're gonna make it dirty now anyway with markers. I'm gonna make this black. So first of all, I'm gonna need the black, of course. Let's use that. Let's use, we can use blue gray 9, sure. Cool gray 8, cool gray 9. Cool gray 5, blue gray 3. Let's start with those. So I'm gonna start with, I know this is gonna be black, so it doesn't make sense to start with something too light. So I'm gonna start with the cool gray. Did I have a cool gray 6 here? I have a cool gray. Thought I had a 7. Let's see. Let's just go with the cool gray 8. Start with. So what do we want to what do we want to need to think about here? As always, there is always a horizon line, and there is always a dominant line on almost every car, and that is the shoulder line. And where that goes on a Camaro, it goes somewhere here. So I'm just gonna add it to the sketch as a reference point for myself. It goes all the way back here. So pretty much a straight long line that goes right there. That means that this part, the area that is below this part is going to be the ground, the reflection of the horizon. So that's going to be dark, which is why I'm going to start with the cool gray 8 for that one. Just go over it. Don't really think too much. It's kind of scary sometimes to just start with a dark marker like this, because if you mess up, it's hard to fix it since it's dark. If you have a light one, you can always go darker, but if you have dark, it's kind of hard to go lighter. Actually, I'm going to cool gray 5. Because I want the bottom part of this to be just a bit lighter than the cool gray 8. Something like that. I'll keep that in handy because I'm going to use it again. Same thing on the back. Just add the cool gray 8. And I want to keep just a tiny bit of that at a cool gray 5 scale shade. let's go back to the Cool Gray 8 and do the front as well. I think this looks too clean, it just looks boring right now. I think I'm gonna dirty it up just a little bit. Mess it up on purpose, basically. Okay, so I'm going to continue to use the Cool Gray 5 to go over this part. Just long lines. And I'm going to change now to a blue-gray 3 to kind of smooth this out. The Cool Gray 5 is still wet, so and this obviously works a lot better if you have marker paper, but it works here too. So if you do this while the first layer is still wet, you're going to be able to blend them way more easier than if you wait until it's dry. Then you're gonna have kind of like sharp reflections, and that could be cool if that's what you're looking for. In this case, I wanted to blend it just back to the Cool Gray 5, adding some details. Let's see. I think we need to go just, it's too bright on this part. Gonna add some, start working on the roof. It's also gonna be black. Now you can use the broad end of the marker really well to cover as much area as possible fast, so you don't have to wait for it. Now I'm using the fine tip to do these, the A-pillar, to fill that in. You can use this tip right here, just a corner. And we have a hood scoop. Right there. Let's see, I kind of want to have a Cool Gray 4 or a maybe blue-gray Cool Gray 5. Here we go. Starting to get a bit dirty, and that's always good because it adds to the sketchiness of the design, I guess. I don't know, if the sketch looks too perfect, it just kind of doesn't make sense to me why you would want to sketch something that's almost photorealistic. It's really cool to see that people can do that. But to me, it just never made sense to do it myself, since I mean, perfection is already exists, and that's the real model of a camera. For example, I can go and look at a real model of a camera whenever I want, and if I sketch it just like that, I don't feel like I'm adding something to it, if that makes sense. Let's go back to the, what was this? The Cool Gray 8. Get some more contrast in here. cool. Gonna go with the black now. In a minute. Black. This is a lot of fun always to go start filling in the black because it gives such a cool contrast. And if you want to get depth in a sketch, you have to add a lot of contrast. You can add it around the, obviously the wheel house and the wheels are going to be black. You can, if you want, start to go into details such as like sketching the tires and all of that, but I just like to keep it very simple and just work with the contrast. Let's see if the wheel is actually round. I think so. And let's connect these two. So this is going to be the shadow of the car on the ground. And do the same thing here. We're gonna see the wheel on the far side, since this is still, even though it's in side view, it's still in perspective, which means that the wheels on the far side, on the other side of this car, are going to be visible underneath. And same thing here, just go around the wheel arch and the wheel and fill that in. And keep rotating the paper just to make it easy for yourself to get in the right, like sketch from the right angle. That's about it. How I want to do the ground shadow. It's very simple. And it saves a lot of time, since I'm kind of impatient when it comes to most things, so I don't like to spend too much time on wheels and stuff like that. Gotta fill in this front wheel as well and define the shape of it. Hopefully it looks round to you as well. I can't see it from like straight up since the camera is there. It looks pretty round. Same thing here, we have the front of the car sticking out, and that obviously means that the shadow is going to continue all the way until the end of the car, basically. Add some thickness to the tire. Probably a bit more in the back as well. There we go. No questions yet. That's strange. I hope the questions work. Or everything is super clear to everybody. That's good, I guess. What else is black on this Camaro? I think I'm gonna keep the windows. Actually, no, I'm gonna keep them up. I don't know if I want to keep the window down or if I should render a window. But I'm gonna go in with Cool Gray 8 and fill in the interior. So the A-pillar on the far side is gonna be visible. And the roof inside is going to be visible. Same thing here, you can go into as much detail as you want. You can go in and start making seats and stuff. But I'm gonna keep it really simple. Alright, now to the fun part, which is sketching the rims. Which is going to be, I don't know. I'm gonna try and make it as easy as possible. Just make them 5-spoke. Same thing in the front. There we go, nice and simple. Can add some design to them. Kind of connect the spokes. Let's go back to the reflections on the body. So I want to have I want to have some blue in here because that's going to reflect the sky. So I want to make this part have some a blue shade inside. Just a little bit. It doesn't have to be much at all. It just gives a cool effect. And I want it's the same thing that the sky is reflecting the body is reflecting the sky. I want to have the ground being reflected in the bottom of the car. So I'm gonna try and find some subtle brown. That's more green. It's not what I'm looking for. Raw umber. Let's see that one. That's too dark. This one maybe? That'll work. And that's why I wanted to keep this bottom part just a bit lighter than the rest, because otherwise if I have it all black, for example, it's not going to show any brown. Right now we just have a hint of brown in here, which is perfect. That's all I need. I think we're gonna go a bit darker with let's see, with this part. Especially around the wheel arches. Something like this. Thank you, Nearlap. Thanks for watching. Let's see, I think we need to go, what is this, Cool Gray 8? Might be too dark. Do we have a Cool Gray 7? Perfect. So let's do this. Let's just go crazy with the Cool Gray 7. Switch to Cool Gray 5. See if we can blend this. Sure. Worked out all right, I guess. Alright, so let's get to the fun part of sketching the wheels. First I'm gonna adjust this spoke here because I see it's that's all good. Gonna use a black here. Fill in the surfaces that are in between the spokes. Still keeping this white outline here because that's part of the rim. And I want to have that white so I can play around with it later. Got highlights and add shading to that. Cool. Same thing at the back. Carlos, I'm using a just a regular sketchbook. It's not marker paper. I can show you in a second exactly what paper I'm using, but it's really basic. So I'm using this paper, or sketchbook, or whatever. That's what it looks like. And all of these lines that I'm doing right now, the outlines of these black areas are going to be, I'm gonna come back and clean this up with the Bic once I'm done with all the markers. Okay. I think that was all I need for the black. That is not. I'm gonna go back with black later with the big pen. But for now, I think we're done with the black. Also add some cool little shading to this massive downforce wing at the rear. What is this? Cool Gray 9. Okay. Let's see. Nimish asks, leave less space. Do you mean that you have problems not knowing where to leave white? Like you're going over with the markers too much, too fast, or? Just cleaning up the wheels a little bit, since some of the lines are dirty from the markers. That's why I say always in the beginning, when you start a sketch like this, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your lines are messed up, because you're not gonna see them in the end anyway. The first lines are just there for reference. That's it. If you think like it looks like crap when you start out, that's probably because it does look like crap, and that it's supposed to look like crap the first like 5 or 15 minutes until you really get a hang of what you're doing. Alright, Nimish, I think it's all about like what kind of before you start sketching, try to think about what first of all, what is the type of material that you're going to be sketching. That depends, that's going to define how you are going to work with reflections in the sketch. If it's a super gloss surface, obviously you're going to have to work more with strong reflections, and a strong reflection in this case would be something like this, when you go from straight to from a really dark surface to complete white. This line right here is pretty much the only thing that tells us that this is a high gloss surface. So if you're dealing with that, you want to take it easy on, you want to start with really bright shades before you go into the darker shades. And if you're sketching something matte, matte is I think easier, because you don't have the strong reflections like this and everything kind of blends into each other with smooth gradients, it's a bit easier to sketch matte surfaces. And also, it also depends if you're sketching something that is dark or something that is white. If you're sketching something white, always be careful where you put markers, because there's kind of no going back to having a white surface if you've already sketched something over it. I hope that made sense. Just adding some definition to this greenhouse. Clean it up. Clean up this interior as well. I think it's time to get into the... we're definitely not done with the wheels here. They look like crap, so we're gonna have to fix those. But that's like the final touch that we're gonna do. I'm gonna go into sketching the window, and for that, glass has a tendency to reflect some blues or blue light. So that's I want to use a blue marker. I think this might be too strong. Let's see if we have a lighter one than that. Let's do this one. Even this might be too blue, but there's no going back now anyway, so we gotta make it work. Same thing in the front windshield. I always mess that up. Windscreen, I think they say windscreen in the UK and windshield here. I've always said windscreen, but then my wife, Lindsay, tells me that that's the wrong way to say it. So then I have to say it in the American way, which I guess is windshield. And now I'm going into blue-gray, just to add some something on top of this windscreen, so it's not like all white. I think that looks okay. It looks all right. So what I'm doing right now, I'm thinking about what spokes are facing up. So what surfaces on these spokes are actually facing towards the sky. And that will determine where I'm putting the blues, because this is an old 68, let's say it's a 68 or 67 Camaro. Most of them have some, I'm not at all a fan of chrome wheels, but most of these cars like to, the owners like to put some chrome wheels on them. And chrome obviously is super high reflective surface, so that means that I'm gonna have a lot of contrast in here, which is what I'm adding right now. We're gonna come back to these with highlight with the highlight pen later. So I wanted to do a live video on Instagram, but I don't think I can do both at the same time, like Facebook Live and then Instagram at the same time. Unless there's an app for that. It probably will be next week, hopefully. That would be cool. What am I adding here? Cool Gray 9. I could use ellipse or circle templates here, but I always wanted to do, I always been like, I want to do as much as possible freehand and not use any templates or tools that, yes, they're super helpful, and they probably will, yeah, they will get you completely round circles and stuff, but there's not a challenge in doing that. Okay. I think we're gonna jump into highlights now. And for that I'm using this. Yeah, I bet you've seen this before. It's a Posca pen. Looks like that. Let's see if we can get a focus on it. Look at the tip. Focus. There we go. That's what it looks like. And you gotta shake this. It's like a spray can, basically. Hey Carlos, these markers, I mean, I love them. They work great for what I use them for. I use them every day. And if you want to see more videos on the markers, you can go to my YouTube and check out the videos there. And if you want the markers, just go to borntosketch.com and you can check out the reviews and all of that. Alright, so let's get into, this is a really fun part. I think I love adding highlights on cars. First I need to add the door. I forgot to do that. So I want to have a cut line for the door. Like that. Same at the back. There we go. Yeah, you're welcome, Carlos. No problem. So, let's think about where do you think that the highlights, or the, like I'm using this pen to add burn points, and the burn points are the white spots that are 100% white. So we need to think about where those spots are going to appear on a sketch. And that means we need to think about what material each of the parts of the car is. We need to think about where the light source is coming from. Where is the light actually coming from? Where is it shining down on this car from? And in this case, I have the light source coming from the top, and I know the car is shiny. So we have the white highlight here, and I want to add some, I want to emphasize this more. I want to add some more contrast to this. So I'm going to start by adding just, still need to shake it more. Just basically improve the highlights you already have. And I like to start from the front, because I'm gonna move my hand this way and I don't want to mess up the white ink as I go. And also, of course, we have the rims. So the rims are chrome, meaning that they're gonna have a lot of burn points and highlights on here. So think about what surfaces are facing up, and you use that as a guide to add the highlights. Also the rim, the actual rim of this car wheel is going to have a highlight right there. let's make it the same on the opposite side. So down here, start with making a ball or an ellipse, and then we kind of want to smooth out that ellipse and have it fade away. I hope you can see that on the camera, on the video. It's kind of tiny. Same thing here. This, we have a strong highlight here, so I want to add some white in here. Just have it fade out like that. Then we have the window, which is going to have highlights right here. Just make a quick line, that's all you need. Same thing at the bottom of this here. There we go. And now I want to do the cut line of the door. Actually, let's do the roof first. Since the roof is 100% facing upwards towards the sky, I want to have a strong highlight up here that follows the curvature all the way back. Shake it a bit more. Let's. I think I need a new pen because this is starting to go dry. Then we have a reflection that goes like this on the shoulder of this car. And let's do the cut lines of the door. Which is kind of tricky now because I added the white ink here already, so I can't mess it up with my hand. So I'm not sure how to do this. That's all we need. All right, that worked out. Was a bit nervous about that one. And then just have an idea of what surfaces are facing up, and if it's a glossy car, you kind of want to make this separation between the horizon line and the sky by adding some white highlight onto that, onto the border between those two reflections. It's all about just playing around with this, and the best advice I can give you is to look at real cars. It doesn't have to be like outside or whatever. You can just Google whatever car you want to sketch and look at it from different views and in different environments to study the reflections and to study how light works. Because the more you sketch with shades instead of lines, the more realistic your sketch is going to be, I guess. And you don't really need a lot of lines if you know how light works. You only need a few markers to get. If you get the values right, that's all you need. go through this car one more time with a big pen to just clean up some lines. This is always the final touch that I do before I finish a sketch, is to go through the lines and clean up the lines if I need to, or just define the highlights better. So I can always go back and sketch over the white ink with the big pen if I want to do that. If I went over something too much with white, I can always go back with a big pen. Not a huge fan of these wheels. Trying to get them more round and less egg-shaped. If we want to, we can add a white pencil like this. Not sure what my sharpener is. Let's see if I can find it somewhere. Nope, I can't find it, so let's just use it as it is. It's not super sharp, but we can add, for example, the tire, we can add some highlight to that, just a subtle white line like this. Doesn't have to be more than that. Same thing on the back. This highlight is obviously going to go at the same spot where the highlight on the rim is. And we could also add the, for example, the disc brake behind this rim. You can have that visible. Something like that. Go back and define it with a big pen. And let's do the same thing in the front, since we did it in the back. And usually the front disc brake is bigger than the rear one. Cool. And define it again with the big pen, just the outline of it. Let's see if we can maybe fix the rims. Do they need fixing? I think we are done with this car, unless I forgot something. So these markers, as always, if you're interested in them, the shipping is always going to be free. So it's free worldwide shipping on these markers. And you can get them, I think we have 20 or 21 sets calculate if you count the big 168 marker set. So you have 20 different sets to choose from on the site. And if you want, I can add the link in the description. This video is always going to be up on, all my live videos are going to be up on my YouTube. So you can, if you want to subscribe to that, you can search for the Sketch Monkey. And I don't know how many live I've done so far. Not that many, maybe 8 or 7 or 8, something like that. I hope you learned something from this video. That's the whole point of the videos. And I hope you get some sketch down today yourself. And that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for watching.